New tonight on KGW News, where a runaway tree, one of more than 100 cut down, has sparked a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Plus, new at 11, call it a nauseating nuisance.
I'm not touching that because you never know what's in there.
No one wants to deal with a bunch of someone else's pee.
So what do you do when it keeps happening? Then, a sudden influx of dozens of kittens. The local shelter that's asking for help with a feline overload. And new tonight, what the heck did the Blazers just pull off? The pick, the trade, and the new pick as Rip City makes a bunch of unexpected draft day decisions. We'll get to the big Blazers news in just 5 minutes, but first to a mess in Northeast Portland that it seems no one wants to touch, with someone dumping bottles filled with urine, perhaps as a prank or maybe just hoping they will disappear. I seriously doubt that. Catherine Cook talked with neighbors. Catherine, some of them have been seeing this since September.
And David, police say what neighbors are dealing with is a crime, improperly disposing of human waste. But getting help dealing with the problem can be complicated, adding to an already frustrating and gross situation.
They look like a gallon size.
6 giant bottles, once filled with water.
I don't know what's there now.
Likely filled with urine. Neighbors around Northeast 70th and Beach
I asked her if she got pee bottled.
have been seeing this a lot lately.
It seems problematic because no one wants to deal with a bunch of someone else's pee.
Somebody else said, take it into the house and put it down the drain. I'm not touching that.
Jean found this stash Tuesday morning, recycling day. Someone had set the containers among items in her blue bins on this gravel median. And while some might argue urine can be recycled into water, that's not how it works here.
And I said, what do I do with it? And nobody could tell me.
We reached out to Metro. A spokesperson told us their hazardous waste facilities don't accept human waste. However, they said their RID patrol will often clean up messes left in public right-of-ways like this one. Jean filed a request, and Metro told us in this case they will respond. Jean's lucky.
Whoever's doing it seems to like Crystal Geyser.
In other cases, the urine bottles have landed on private property. Metro tells us RID Patrol can't respond to those situations, and there have been several.
This is a bigger thing. This is not just random, and it's happening all over.
Jean's neighbor, Bruce Porter, is tired of it. He wants whoever's leaving the bottles of pee to get help if they need it.
You can't carry 6 2-gallon jugs of waste without having a purpose to it.
Whatever the reason, Jean just wants this gone.
I don't want to touch it. But more importantly, I don't want the guy to come back next week and do the same thing.
Can't blame her. If this happens to you and the RID crew can't respond, Metro suggests checking with your local hauler. Otherwise, they recommend wearing gloves and dumping the urine in a storm drain, toilet, or yard. Also, police are asking people in the area to check security cameras and report anything suspicious. We'll post an email address and case number to reference on KGW.com. David.
Yeah, it's definitely not lemonade. Thanks, Catherine. Developing tonight, police have arrested a man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at a home in Southeast Portland and vandalizing a North Portland boba tea shop. 37-year-old Christian Clarida is facing nearly 30 charges from bias crime to criminal mischief. Surveillance video from last week appears to show the suspect throwing objects through the door of Anti-Ha Boba Shop before returning the next day to damage a window. According to detectives, he's also accused of breaking windows last month at an apartment in Southeast Portland.
To throwing a firebomb at the entryway of the house and left another to show the victim, who he called Chinese people, quote unquote, that he wants to be left alone.
We are too scared to come back to because we are always worrying that he may really use his gun to shoot us.
Prosecutors have asked a judge to keep Clarida in custody while his case plays out. He is scheduled to be back in court next week.
I was shocked. Overall, I was a little disappointed. We traded it away last minute.
Blazers fans left shocked, surprised, and perhaps a little confused after the team wheeled and dealed, and what a deal it was, on day one of the NBA draft. Orlando Sanchez here to break it down. Orlando had started his plan with the 11th pick and then quickly went sideways. I mean, what a night, right?
Yeah, David, all of us are like, what? From social media to the fans to even the experts, all shook on draft night. Wow, it has been an unpredictable week in Rip City. First, the Anthony Simons trade for Drew Holiday, then the surprise of the draft, the Portland Trail Blazers trading back and selecting a player no one saw coming.
With the 16th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Yang Hansen from Zibo, China, and the Qingdao Eagles.
That center, Yang Hansen, the newest member of the Portland Trail Blazers. He'll celebrate his 20th birthday tomorrow, by the way. As the 16th overall pick, he's the third highest Chinese-born player selected in the draft. He's 7 feet 1 inches tall and played the last 2 seasons in the Chinese Basketball Association, where he put up big numbers. General Manager Joe Cronin says they've been scouting Yang for the last 2 years. They went to China to see him, and Yang even worked out at the team's practice facility this past month.
Extremely difficult to find a young player of that stature with this skill set. You know, really skilled big men that can do all the things that he can do, typically succeed in our league. Yeah, it might take him a little time, but as he figures out the speed and pace of our game and all these things, I wouldn't put a ceiling on him. He's that talented.
So how did we get here? The Blazers traded the 11th pick to the Grizzlies in exchange for the 16th pick, as well as acquiring a first-round pick in 2028 and 2 future second-round picks. Now, here's why selecting Yang was such a shocker. He was projected to be a second-round pick by all of the popular mock drafts. When his name was called there, he was sitting in the stands. This was just unexpected. Cronin on why he made the pick at 16.
The goal was to get as far back as possible. You know, we didn't want to overdraft if we didn't have to. We weren't much more comfortable beyond 16 than that. So for us, it was too important to get him. We decided to do what some would call a reach. You know, we decided to take that swing and overdraft technically a player that we just really valued. It shows what we thought of him.
So the Grizzlies used the 11th pick to take Cedric Coward, one of the best stories in the draft. He played at Willamette and worked his way up, eventually landing at Washington State, and now he's a lottery pick and a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. This is the top of the draft that you're looking at, headlined by the Dallas Mavericks selecting Duke phenom Cooper Flagg. What a night to open the NBA draft.
We've just been here shaking our heads trying to make sense of it all. It kind of feels like the other shoe still has to drop, though. So what's coming next?
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing to follow. When you look at the way the roster is right now, there are 5 centers. And typically, teams do not keep 5 centers on the roster. So I'm not saying they're going to make a move.
No.
But it is one interesting to follow this summer.
Hey, if it starts like this, we'll see where it ends up.
Yeah, just think about what the last 3 days have been like. Who knows what's next?
All that drama. Appreciate it, Orlando. Speaking of that, the drama and the heat, we need a little fresh air, right? While cool, cloudy, and misty might be in the forecast for Thursday, things will once again be feeling more like summer as we get closer to the weekend. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri here with the first look at your weather impact forecast. So, Joe, how warm did we get today?
We hit 70 degrees, but hopefully you got a chance to enjoy it because in another few days, David, we're going to be seeing our temperatures another 20 degrees above what we saw earlier this afternoon. 70 was basically the common number throughout a good portion of the metro area. You can see on the board, Scappoose, Aurora, McMinnville, a little bit warmer at 71 degrees. Regardless, below average temperatures across the city, and we'll be doing that again tomorrow as this upper level low kind of moves on shore. You can see early tomorrow, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Thick cloud cover. With the thick cloud cover, we're not going to be seeing heavy downpours. We'll just be seeing what you described, David, as mist, maybe some pockets of some sprinkles and some drizzle. That'll carry over into the later part of the morning. I'm expecting by the afternoon to see drier conditions. And going into Friday, we'll start to see a mix of some clouds and sunshine. This model is showing by the later part of the morning, early part of the afternoon, we could be seeing the clouds break up a little bit. But again, temperatures will remain on the cooler side, but really comfortable heading into Friday with temperatures in the mid-70s. And then the warm-up arrives on Saturday and especially into the weekend. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
Hey, a little refreshing mist. Nothing wrong with that, right? Thanks, Joe. New tonight, there is a kitten emergency in Southwest Washington where the Humane Society just got an influx of 50 cats from one home when they were already well over capacity. Alma McCarty has the story.
Inside the Humane Society for Southwest Washington Wednesday night,
good job, everybody.
Dozens of cats and kittens settle in.
Somewhere around 50 to 60 cats had been found in a RV in Battleground.
Animal Control rounded them up after their owner died and brought them to their temporary home in Vancouver.
We're relieved to see that overall they seem pretty healthy. It seems like we probably have a few upper respiratory infections, some little kitty colds here and there, and that's to be expected when you have so many cats who are living in close quarters with one another.
Sam Ellingson with the Humane Society explains as staff and volunteers care for these cats, the team hopes adoptions will free up some space.
There's never a great time for us to receive 50 to 60 cats in a single day, right? That's always going to be a challenge, and that challenge is further amplified by the effects of kitten season.
Operating at 185% capacity already, and now with an influx of animals, they'll be waiving adoption fees Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
325 cats who are currently in our care, 100 of those are available for adoption. Our team will prepare for probably double to triple the number of adoptions, I think.
And he says in about a week, give or take, many of these cats and kittens will be ready to find their forever homes.
There's no concern about being able to house them. The concern for us right now is moving enough cats through that we can house them in a way that we want to.
And in addition to adoptions, the Humane Society is looking for foster homes to care for those vulnerable kittens and also, of course, to make space. David, back to you.
Right now, so great. Alma, appreciate it. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, with the clock ticking on the legislative session in Salem, lawmakers have made some significant amendments to a monster transportation funding bill. The gas tax still goes up, but only once. It won't be indexed to inflation. The changes also eliminate the vehicle transfer tax and reduce the size of some DMV fee hikes. The payroll transit tax remains unchanged, as does a choice for EV drivers to pay per mile. Next up tomorrow, a public hearing and work session. Portland City Councilors today backtracked on a funding cut that would have impacted organizations that helped underserved children with everything from meals to preventing abuse. The Portland's Children's Levy Committee recommended $70 million in grants, with the money coming from a property tax already in place. But the council initially voted down their recommendation 7-5 over what they called equity concerns. The Oregonian editorial board slamming that decision, calling it council's, quote, most reckless decision yet. Today, the 7 who voted against changed their votes to yes after hearing from some of the nonprofits that would have lost out on funding and from the committee that came up with the list. And a source in Salem telling KGW a proposal by state lawmakers to eliminate Multnomah County's Preschool for All program will not make it out of committee. This comes after county leaders pushed back and concerned parents gathered today to support the program.
20,000 Multnomah County residents wrote the governor and said, hands off Preschool for All.
I don't think this is how you want to treat some of the more vulnerable parts of our society. Like, we can do better, and we need to do better.
The program, which was approved by voters in 2020, taxes high-income earners to provide free preschool for 3- and 4-year-olds. The governor previously indicated she expects the county chair to make changes to the program, particularly when it comes to how it's funded, that reflect the current economic reality.